servers, but they have more cool features or services as compared to your normal servers. Yeah, so yeah. So there is also what we call microservices, which we said it's just an architecture or a fashion on how you design your software system, whereby we break into components, a collection of components, than just having a dedicated server that does everything for you. So you break your your software into many Let's jump straight to EC2. So EC2 is just your virtual instance in AWS. But it has more cool features as compared to the normal virtual instance, or no, it will like AfriHost or a DigitalOcean, or I think A2 hosting, something like that. So it's just a save but it has more cool features. We'll see them in action. As the description says, it provides a scalable computing capacity. That is, it has the features to be scaling to whatever capacity that you actually require. For example, you may be building, a creating application. Definitely has more users as compared to just maybe a generic application, a blogging application. So using EC2, then you'll configure your application to meet needs because it said it provides a scalable computing capacity. Just in simple terms, it's an ability to run a scalable virtual servers in AWS cloud. So high level, that's what EC2 is. You can configure load balancers, set up a static IP address, and many other cool things in there, but we'll see others as in decisions. They are not important. Then also there are types of EC2 instances, which I've made it on this slide. So there's something called instance types. So what they do, it's more like a collection or say a set of or say, okay, let me put it this way, it's the types of EC2 instances where you can select then depending on your requirements. So for example, if you have a simple application and hello world, then you may want to choose an instant type which is having resources as for example, small RAM, small CPU. Also, I don't know, Indian man said it too. Is there someone who's joining? Okay, then also end-to-end storage, but as for storage, only storage, you can call it's not at an instance type. But what I'm trying to explain to you is instant type allow from requirements or the capacity that you need for your application. So you can choose the instant type that matches those requirements. That is, for example, if you are talking about a creating application, it's very busy. Most people trade every day and all that kind of things. I mean, there is a lot of ongoing transaction. So you'll definitely choose an instant type with high capacity, maybe with 20 gigs of RAM, with CPU as E4 and all of those kind of things. So Nancy and I've made for you, I'll share for you. I've made this a formal description, but just high level, it's as I've just explained. Let me remove that, sorry. Yes, then also on EC2, but we'll see it, there's something called user data. It's there on your AWS examination, you may be asked. So what it basically does is just a set of commands that you can be putting together. So I'll start your EC2 instance that it will be running. It's more like some sort of automating some configurations of your application. For example, if you need to install Node.js and also to say maybe you need to install Apache server, then you run user data. If you want to install in every instance that you, or say on your instance you want it automatically spin up, or when we start that it install Apache for you automatically, so then you'll use what we call user data. just high level, sorry, just in detail, it's an option which gives you an ability to pass some user data on an initial run of an instance. This is useful when you want to run some set of commands for each of your instance. It does not necessarily mean it has to be instances. I mean, even if you need one, you could still use the user data. This way you will be automating running of these commands. For example, and you will manually just configure your instance, then later on followed by accessing it, then you do what you run some command, CMD commands, to be actually doing what, to be maybe installing or Apache, installing on Node.js or abantu C# or install a setup ka C#. So if using user data, you can just automate yonke lonto. That is, we put it into a script ozoyifaka when uqala urana your instance. It's asked you. It's actually important. I think it's about 3% on your AWS Node examination. It's a common question. So let's just jump in and try to spin up an EC2 instance, which is a virtual server. So as said from the course outline, EC2 some exploratory ekuqaleni, but when we are moving on, we'll move to what we call serverless computing. EC2, it's a virtual server. It's just an ordinary server. But it's very important because that's where everything starts. I mean, you can't understand serverless computing if you don't understand the virtual servers. So hence I wanted us to be starting with Lenandu le. So let's just jump into AWS console. You guys still remember I mentioned from one of the sessions that we had, ukuba we have the access points Sky AWS. One of them is AWS console, which is common, which we'll be using most of the time in this course. Then the other one is AWS SDK, which you use when you create your application, maybe on Java, C#, Node.js, even your HTML application. Sorry, your normal front-end application. So you would need AWS SDK so that you can connect to your AWS infrastructure. Or say your AWS instance. So what I will do, I will log in, then see again. Log in.
Should we log in? Should we create an account or what?
Definitely. So this I said, you guys please create an account for yourself, so that when umdu go through this, they can be like using their own personal account. Course outline. Course outline. So you have to have your account, But remember last time I said the good practice is you don't use a root user, use an IMI user, because if you make any mistake using a root user, you are liable for consequences which can be like severe. I mean, what if you delete something that you didn't want to delete? Can't you with IMI account? I mean, you can recover some of the things, you can recover them with root use. So it's more like when you're exploring your AWS console, use it with less permissions. So it's just that I don't remember the guide that I've created with this email. So for now, I'll log in with root use. So we are on home. If there was anyone knowing on the previous session, this is how the console will look like on your initial launch. This is where you can be searching about your Nantuga, your AWS resources. For example, if you want to DynamoDB, then you can search it there. If you want to Lambda, we can get it there. The Cognito, it's there, but also you can use le, then uzo search up, or you can just click all services. Zininzi kakhulu, but we'll just be exploring the core ones, which I think most of you nabo might be using in their like work, cloud engineer. Ezinye awuzinidi, they are for specialists ezithile. For example, kukhona into ezidibene nenantuka nezinto ezidibene machine learning and stuff. We won't be exploring that because they are for umuntu specialize on that. Yabo. So let's just quickly go to EC2, or maybe you can search it here, EC2. Then you click on it. You see the name, it's called Virtual Servers in the Cloud. So it's not a fancy service out there, but it's very crucial that you understand it before you move on to serverless computing. Yeah. And most of enterprises are in South Africa, but they are still hesitant to be going on with serverless computing. So when they are migrating to cloud, they will be pushing their application to just an EC2 instance, which I think is not, they are not taking advantage of cloud computing as they should. Because why would you migrate your application to a virtual server if there is in this a Lambda function and more other cool serverless like computing services? But then they do it, so it's important that you do understand it. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's close this one. EC2. Yeah. So this is how the dashboard looks like. Yeah. Well, cause things are, there are instances which is just like your EC2 or servers, yeah, if you want to put it that way. There are also images. There is EBS, which is Elastic Block Store. There is LB. There is network and security. There is also auto scaling. Yeah, but since we are exploring this at a fundamental level, we'll be just using most of the time layer instances, the network and security. Then also, if we get time today, we'll also explore what we call load balancing. Yeah. So let's go into instances. Then you can click on instances. Yeah. So they actually have a new UI for their console. Maybe let's use it. Are you satisfied with the experience? Yes or no? Whatever. General, whatever. Where is submit? Why is it not working? Okay. Just wanted to choose the new one. It's not important. You can still use the old one if umdu phone yabo. I think this one is the old one. New. Okay, this is new one. Yeah, it's just a UI. There is no fancy thing. So when they make an upgrades to their systems, maybe at times is to improve the usability. I mean, by user navigator on their system, that they can get things faster, and also just to upgrade their system by looking more nicer and stuff. Otherwise, there's nothing fancy. What you will note is maybe when you are using a YouTube tutorial, you might find out in Antuga the UI is different. So you may want to check the date. If you are 2018, 2019, it will definitely show different from this one. Yeah, there is not much change. I mean, the concept is still the same, but I'm just saying in case that you expected to see up, like that you are like on the old one that you are not seeing up, or those kind of discrepancies. So you click on instances, then click on new. On instances. Sorry, not new. On instances. This new means it's just a new UI. So what you do, sorry, I think I clicked some instances. Yes. So what you can do, you can say launch an EC2 instance. So the beauty of cloud, you can go in any time of the day or any time of the week. You go in there, spin up an EC2 instance that meets your demands or of your expected capacity. And you can spin it up anytime and delete it anytime of phone. As said, in Nantuga services, they are actually paid, so it's important that when you are no longer using an EC2 instance that you destroy it, because you might find out at times that you okay, sorry, I was admitting someone. You might find out so in that on recurring cost, it's because of as services was running on your cloud instance, which you are no longer using. Zihleli nje pha, they are running. So it's good, but every time you are done using your instance, just destroy it if you no longer need it. Yeah, so let's go ahead. So just go, so you come into instances, then you say we want to launch or create a new EC2 instance. Launch instance, then it will bring you up, or you'll be filling up the details about your instance. For example, we can call it my cloud EC2 demo, something like that. Now it's just a name, doesn't really matter. Yeah, well, then there's something called Amazon machine image. It's AMI, not IMI now, AMI. It's not a fancy thing also but you should know it by the style. It's where you select your operating system. There's Linux, there's Windows, there's Red Hat, there's all these Linux cool features, no Mac back on, but on this one would be, sorry, I went back. My demo, my cloud demo EC2. Yeah. So as said, it's where you select your what, your image of your, more like that's where you select your operating system. Yeah, but it's called Amazon machine image. Yeah, but so to advanced or say enterprise companies, at times they would want to use their own images. So there is also a way where you can upload your image, your custom image, for whatever reasons that they have. But I think for us, we just need an Ubuntu image. Yeah, well, which the latest version now is 22.4. Magellan just joined us. 22.4. Then there is a lot of option, but just note as in these that are important. Yeah, well, so far I've just gave the EC2 instance that we are launching up the name, then I chose the image, then now note I will come and choose the instance type. So as said, instance type, that defines how much the RAM or the CPUs and other cool things that your instance will be having. Yeah, well. So you can choose here. There is a list. Yeah, well. Why is it not clickable? Yeah, nuts. OT small, yeah, OT micro. There is a whole lot of Nantuk. Yeah, boy, is 128 gigabytes. Yeah, boy. So basically, they just in the instance type, it defines the Nantuk, the what, how much capacity your instance EC2 instance can be handling, or say the core resources as far as memory and CPU that your instance will be having. But for the purpose of this, we will be using T1 Micro, which has one CPU and 0.612 when memory. Yeah, well. Also, it's free tier eligible, so that means we won't be paying. Yeah, well. So let's take that. Yeah, well. Yeah, it's also important when you are spinning it up on your end, guys, you use the free tier one so that you don't see yourself like having to pay. Yeah, well. Yeah. Then there's something key pair. Yeah, well. So this, you can use a key pair to securely connect your instance. Ensure that you have an access to selected key pair before you launch your instance. So as you'll expect, after say launch, it's a visual server most that is at Amazon. So at some point we'll want to connect to it and run some file and run some whatever program that you want to be running, or do whatever processing that you want to do. So how do you connect to there? You actually need a key pair file or just a secret file which will enable you to connect there. So we'll just be creating a new. Then we'll give it a name, my cloud demo EC2. Let's call it key KP. Yeah, well, RSA. I always use RSA. Yeah, well, I don't know why we would one need to use or ED255? No. But here it depends on the requirements that an institution have. For example, if ngaya we company till but bona okay, use the ED so now you'll be using that. But for like just in general, only popular it's RSA. It does not mean Republic of South Africa though. Then private key format, you will see this, we will use it with party. So as said, and it key pair file, it's to securely connect you to, or say give you access to your EC2 instance, which is on cloud. Yeah, so how do you establish access to your EC2 instance? It's via what we call SSH session. So we'll establish the SSH session using OPAT. Yeah, if this is new to someone, you will see it in action. It will be easy. Yeah, so let's use OPAT. Let's take OPAT.u.pem, because u.pem, since we'll be using OPAT, we'll have to convert it to OPAT. I mean, this .ppk thing, it's a new thing that they've just brought. So let's take advantage of that than doing the PEM and having to convert it to PAT. Yeah, but then create a keeper. Yes, there it is. Also, it was downloaded automatically. Then on the networking, so as you guys know, there's something called firewall. So firewall controls outgoing and incoming connection, what we call ingress as well as egress connections or traffics. Yeah, so there is a tab about networking. Yeah, so by default, it has allowed an SSH traffic, which basically mean accept, which basically mean by default you can be establishing an SSH session to your instance. Yeah, this connects, SSH connects to this. Remember, we said we'll need to access it. How do we access it? We have to establish an SSH connection. And I just said there is something called firewall to your instance. Yeah, it's controlled where in your networking. Yeah, so we have to enable an SSH. By default, it's enabled, but you can disable it if you don't need it. Also, let's enable HTTP traffics. There are many more that we can configure, but we'll see how we will update them. Yeah, that's network. Then on storage, I mean, we only need 8 gigabytes. It's fine for now, so we can leave it. Then there is something on advanced details. Let's leave that for now. Then let's just go straight to the summary. Yeah, this is where you do your fancy or say advanced configuration or setup. Yeah, let's close it or collapse it. Number of instances, just one. We need one. Then the security group or the stuff that we have done here. Where is it? Sorry, here is it. So now it's showing it up here. Then the storage is 8 gigabytes. It's a free tier one, which is 22.micro. Yeah, boom. So let's launch it. So now this is how you spin up your server. Let's say you have your Java application, you need to host it on cloud. Then you'll be like, okay, I'll definitely need a server. So let me go to AWS and create a server. Then you go in, create one where you'll be like hosting your application. So yeah, let's click here to view it, or we can simply just click on instances. Yeah, well, refresh. Yeah, it's actually running. The status check is initializing. Yeah, well, now as you guys have seen, that cloud tune. This is just high level information about it. The instance type is 21 micro. Remember why we actually chose this? Remember the importance of this, or say what this what this tells about your EC2 instance. Ilento that tells about memory, the RAM to be specific, as well as the CPUs, the instance type. Then the other important thing is the security group, which we said is the one that determines manages the incoming or outgoing traffic via firewall. So it's more like a firewall in your EC2 instance. Then the key name is the one which allows us to securely connect to our instance. Yeah, so I've just clicked on it. I'll click on it if I have not. Sorry, instances. There's this weird thing, man, go Chrome. If we mouse we peg it on the left or right, it just refresh the page. So let's click on this. So this is where it gives it details or a summary about your instance. Yeah, but automatically it assigns you a public IPv4 as well as a private one. Yeah, well, just high level, this one will change every time you restart your server, but this one will be remaining constant. Yeah, well. Then what's the other thing that you can know? This is just an instance type. What's the other thing that you can know? I think let's come down here. This is just about the details. We have selected Ubuntu on the image, Nancy Citronal app, which is platform based, sorry, which is Linux based. What's the other thing? Here's the key pair file, which we said to connect to this Linux machine. Then what's the other thing about I think that's all. Then security. Then as said on the security wizard, that's where we control incoming as well as outgoing traffics. This is more like your firewall, your virtual in cloud firewall. Then networking. This one is not hold on. Yeah, this one is not important. It's at advanced level where you like this is where you also configure into about the private networks and whatnot. Yeah, well, storage, I think it will be just telling us by it's 8 GB and stuff. Yeah, next they just checking and doing. Yeah, well, so what would we want to do next on our EC2? It will be actually to connect to it. Then after connecting it to it, then we run lendo variables we run. It might be a Node.js server, it might be just a dummy HTML Landuga website or whatever thing. Yeah, well, so let's do that. Let's connect to, let's close this. Let's connect to our instance. So let me show you how I came here. Instances. Then you click on the instance yako. Then you say connect. Yeah, well, then it shows you how you can, like it tabs lab on how you'll connect. Yeah, well, but come to the XSH one. Yeah, well, so this is where it gives you details. Open an XSH client, locate your private key file, basically download that key file, then run this. You don't have to run this one. Automatically say convertile to .ppk. Remember when I said let's download the ppk one than the .pem one, so that we won't be having to convert it. Yeah, well, then we can just XSH to it. Yeah, well, but let's do that with Uparty. Uparty is an XSH client. Yeah, well, yeah, well, it's an XSH or telnet client developed or whatever by Ondondon. It's for Windows, so it enables you to establish an XSH session to your server. Yeah, well, so someone may be asking themselves, what is an XSH session? So an XSH session just gives you a CLI based access to your virtual server. That's simple as like that. I know there may be fancy explanation on Google, but high level or say at a very basic level, it's just enables you to connect to your virtual server. Yeah, but on CLI. So remember on operating system, we talk about how to access how do you call it, your operating system. What it's via GUI or CLI. So the XSH terminal will enable us to access our virtual server, which is EC2 in this case, via the XSH terminal. Yeah, it will enable us to establish an XSH session. Yeah, well, so let's do that. So you can just download your party. Then upper you put up the IP address or the host name of your Nantuk, of your server. For us, it's Amazon dot yeah, here is it. Or you can simply use the, let's go back, or you can even use the, yeah, they all speaks to the same one. Nance, it's this one is the DNS, this is one, it's just a private, it's just a normal IP address. Yeah, so you can use either. Yeah, for example, let's take this one now. Then you paste it. The port XSH, most of the time, I don't know for what reason one would choose a different port. For most of the time, by default, it's running on port 22. Yeah, well, then as you will expect, now we have to be using that Nanduga, that how do you call it, that key file, because now we want to connect to our instance. So you click on connection, then XSH, then auth, then double click on it, yeah, so that it opens this guy. Then private key file for authentication. As said, that file will enable us to connect securely to our EC2 instance. Then we can browse. Then here is it, and it was downloaded automatically on the creation of the EC2 instance. Then open it up. Then don't click open. We need to save this so that we don't have to browse it every time that we connect to our EC2 instance. Try to click on session again, then give it a name, my cloud demo EC2. Yes, then you say save, then you can just launch it up now. So it would give you the host name is not cached for this server, blah blah blah, just say accept. Then how do you log in? You log in as Ubuntu. The first username is Ubuntu, or say a default username is called Ubuntu. So we are connected to our server now. So now we can do whatever we are imagining. Installing Node.js server, installing Java, C# setup, running whatever we want to be running. Yeah, well, so far I know, like I've been talking. So is there anyone who has a question so far?